Yeah. I'll just check with Roman. Sometimes he forgets. Um, okay, I'll suggest keeping a notebook and a pen with you if you're an analog person. There will be a few questions that I think I would like all of us to wrestle with together. And yeah, at any point, if you feel like interrupting me, please feel free to unmute and do that. Hi, Shruti. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay, so the topic is why should I even listen to you? Building credibility as a soloist, and I think all of us do struggle with this quite a bit with the noise that's come up lately. I mean, it's been a problem for long. Like we can't just blame AI for this, but I think AI has just aggravated this lot more. And if we had maybe I don't know 5 seconds to make an impact, now we have maybe one fifth of that or even lesser. And so I've been thinking a lot about this topic of what really counts for credibility, what really makes us credible. And I think one of the questions that our audience is asking, they might not phrase it this way because they're too polite, they're too nice, they're very kind. But all of us, when we come across a piece of information, any piece of content, whether that's a sales presentation, whether that's a LinkedIn post, an email, a website page, we're always asking ourselves the question, why should I listen to you? So this is my attempt at uncovering this a little bit along with you all. It all starts with a video that stopped my scroll. So I was, yeah, not proud to say it, but I was doom scrolling through Instagram, and a video stopped my scroll, and it was one of those pieces of content which actually stood out to me, and it was from a young girl who had taken a 60-day video challenge. So I think Guillaume, you can relate with this because she had taken up her plan was that she was on a streak and every day she would pick up like one sub skill under the huge umbrella of public speaking skills, and every day she would record a video, not edit it, and post it on her Instagram. And she'd had very little followers, like maybe 600 700 if I from what I recollect. I unfortunately do not have the exact account, I do not have the exact video, but I remember for a fact that the video, the number of likes and comments or even the followers on her account were like super low. But something about like this streak of hers, of something about she putting herself out there, was really drawing me in. So I felt a pull towards this account, and I was wondering why that is happening. Why do I feel this connection with this particular content strategy, so to speak? Because we clearly don't have a shortage of public speaking resources. I mean, I could go to Google and I would stumble upon the famous Dale Carnegie public speaking course. If I do even a little more digging, then obviously there is TED's official public speaking course. And if we go to platforms like whatever Udemy, Coursera, there is a ton of content out there. So why was it that I was drawn to this particular posture of, hey, I'll record one video every day, I'll put it out, I won't edit it, and I'll break down the whole skill of public speaking into minute parts, and every day I'll try to hone that one skill. And she wrestling with that question somehow pulled me in. So what was happening here, right? I mean, I tried to uncover that a little bit, and this workshop is one milestone on that journey of me trying to solidify what I learned in that process. So we all want to be seen as credible, but it isn't easy, right? Uh, Everyone has a filter that th- we have to overcome, so to speak. They have a filter through which they are judging us. So every time we interact with someone else, again, it doesn't matter. This all of this is medium agnostic. I'm not referring to a social media strategy per se. I'm not referring to a sales presentation. I'm referring to everything. Even right now, right? Everyone is looking at me, wondering if whatever I have to say is actually credible or not. So whenever I put out any piece of content out there, or when we have a conversation, they're always subconsciously or sometimes even consciously asking a very foundational question, which is this person even legit? Does this person actually know what they are talking about, and can I really trust them? What are the common ways in which we build this credibility? Because there is this fear. We see a ton of people out there. A lot of them are more successful than us. They perhaps make more money than us. They have more following than us. They have more likes, more comments, more shares, more credible logos, right? So we feel this pressure of really standing out and forcing our credibility, or we struggle to get noticed, and then we in a way overcompensate at times. So what are the few common practices that we use? Well, we ask for better testimonials from our clients. Maybe we go for better clients and better logos because that is what will make us more credible. Maybe we work on our storytelling skills. Maybe we need a better argument. Maybe we need a better landing page. Maybe the sequence with which I have scheduled, or I have sequenced my argument or my talk, that that needs to change. And by the way, none of this is inherently bad. Like, we definitely need all of this. So this is not like an either or thing. It's just that I think the focus or the obsession that we have with testimonials and logos and the sounding confident, sounding cool, that is maybe a little bit much, and we can focus somewhere else. So when I think of, like, when I'm trying to sound credible, this is me. This is sort of my posture where I am, you know, I don't know, trying my best to not sound nervous, trying my best to sound confident, and trying my best to convey that I know what I'm talking about. So how does this look in real life, in practical situation? Well, it leads me to what I'm loosely calling podium content, where I imagine I am behind a podium on a stage trying to preach people. So maybe it looks like, maybe it is me trying to sound wise. Um I'm sharing it from a distance. It's more of principles, more of what you should do, and less of concreteness. So here is an example of a LinkedIn post I published the other day. We don't have to read the entire thing, but maybe a few lines. So Simon Sinek's "Start with Why" wasn't a revolutionary idea, at least not in the traditional sense. At first glance, it feels like an unheard concept, something you and I had never considered. And then I go on to explain that, "Start with Why" worked because Simon Sinek did this and did that. And I actually like this post. So again, this is not to say that I will stop publishing this, but is there a missing element? Is there a missing ingredient? Because here, what I'm still doing is I'm shouting, not shouting, but I'm trying to convey something from a distance. The next example is this, again, an advice. When it comes to content, the common advice is share your expertise. The problem, our expertise is complex and nuanced. When we start sharing our expertise, we run into the danger of publishing content that could get confusing for the reader. There is no single point, and then I go on to again, like, talk on a very higher principle level. The last one, again, don't start creating content, figure out your positioning, then your big idea, and only then start writing that newsletter, podcast, and email. This is the advice that most of us are given, bad advice. And again, I try to make that argument stronger. And I have to blame my heroes for that, because I have been following the Seth Godins of the world, the Kim Scotts of the world, the Bernie Browns of the world, and this is like just an example from Seth Godin's blog post the other day, where he says rehearsing possibility. So most of us would like to live with wonder, grace, and optimism. Perhaps it pays to practice this in advance. When considering any given moment, is there a glimmer of good worth focusing on, even making a comment about? Right? Again, principles. Same goes for this blog post, which is about redundancy and resilience. The end of content shortage, right? So I'm in a way, if you read through this, you will find like a similarity, because I am trying to copy someone like Seth Godin and creating my content, and yet it doesn't seem to be working, because I mean, of course, it works a few times, but not always. And when it doesn't work, it's because it's failing to pass through that skeptical filter. So what's really happening, right? What is going on? So let's look at where it's actually working. Okay, so if you have read the book Made to Stick, uh, I'll just like request you to play along and not answer this question. But let me throw in a question at you, right? Look, what if you had to redesign the best anti-smoking campaign? What can you like give me three ideas? Like if you were designing this, how would you build credibility, and what would your plan of action be? Anyone with an idea? We just need three ideas.
I'm
There's no
trying to
wrong
recall.
answer. Yeah, sorry,
I'm
go on.
trying to recall what they say in the book,
Yeah.
but I think one is to tell a story. There's something like that. Can't
Oh,
remember what the
which
framework is.
story? Is there any specific story? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay. 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 So tell a story. Okay.
I mean, yeah, story of somebody who smoked and it didn't go well, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
Like
I
some
would have a
fear-based.
bunch of, oh, sorry.
I was just like, gonna say like some fear-based tactics, like similar to what Guillaume said, but hey, showing what the future would hold for someone who smokes and maybe not being around with their kids or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in France and I think in Canada as well, for that matter, maybe more countries now, they have photos of really nasty photos of what
Yeah.
happens when you smoke
Yeah.
As
inside.
a father, I would do a campaign of 12 to 14-year-old children smoking and telling how they just like very casually how they observe their parents smoke.
Mm. Okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, this is exactly what they were considering when they were trying to launch this campaign. And all of these are tried and tested ideas. Maybe they work to an extent, maybe they don't. But the most successful um campaign for them was by this person. Her name is Pam Laffin, if I'm saying it right. And she actually was a part of a few commercials, and these were termed as like one of the most successful anti-smoking campaigns in the book Made to Stick. And you would assume that, okay, maybe she is a PhD or a researcher. So she apparently had no credentials, no PhD. She was just someone who was a smoker since the age of 10 years. So I think the story, and I could be misquoting here, so don't hold me to it. But she essentially started smoking when she was 10 because she saw someone doing it, or she saw it on television. She thought it was cool, and then she just couldn't stop. And then a lot of bad things happened to her, which we don't need to get into, but a lot of bad things happened. So when she talked, everyone listened, because there was this inbuilt credibility into the story, because someone who is doing it is now sharing their experience, which is different from me telling it to someone, as someone who doesn't do it regularly. If I tell it to someone, then I automatically lose, or it's not taken as seriously. There is inherent less credibility when I send that message. But when she is doing it, this just the story is something else. That's the first example. Okay, I have a couple of more before we move into what does that mean for us. So in other words, she was embodying the big idea. Again, not a great example as consultants, right? But there is something to be learned from here, that when we embody our big idea or the premise that we have, the change that we are trying to make, we are taken a lot more seriously. That is really the moral of that particular example. Okay, let's look at the second example. So I was having a conversation with a client recently, and I asked him that, hey, what made you sign up for the Big Idea sprint? So that's a sprint that I offer to my clients, and he had gone through the sprint. So I was just asking him, like, what made you sign up? And I was expecting something on the lines of my amazing storytelling skills. Was it that? Was it like a great LinkedIn post I wrote, my really good homepage copy, or my thoughtful emails? It turns out, that may have contributed a little bit, but the real answer was that I saw you wrestle with difficult questions inside the community we are a part of. So in a weird way, I was not trying to sound credible. I was just wrestling with difficult questions. I was thinking about difficult things, and I was asking people for their opinion. I was co-creating my offer with them. And just the fact that I was doing it made me credible, because if I'm doing it, then I must be legit. All right. Now the last example. Okay, this is a sabbatical that one of my friends took, and I don't know in culturally how it works, but in India it's like a big you know like it's not every day that you are allowed to take a sabbatical. The society really judges you for it, and but still this guy, he did it, and this is the content that he put out. This is the LinkedIn post that he had put out. So again, don't need to read the entire thing, but month 11 and 12 sabbatical update. 1 year completed, 8 months in South Goa, 2 months in Rishikesh. May month in Rishikesh went in completing 300 hours of yoga training. Post completion of 300 hours shifted to Leh, right? So he's documenting all of this, and we are not here for any kind of vanity metrics, but there was clear resonance towards this content, because he was not a travel company talking about 5 advantages of taking a sabbatical. He was not one of those who was talking about, here are 5 destinations to take a sabbatical. No, he had taken a sabbatical himself. Again, he was embodying the big idea, and he was showing up and documenting his experience. So I'm guessing some kind of pattern is coming up. And coming back to Seth Godin, right? So what's happening here? The reality is that I am here, and Seth Godin is at a very different stage in his life and in his business. I mean, if I could draw a longer line, I would like put a lot of distance between what he has done and what I am doing. The reality is that Seth Godin has done a lot of things in between, like launching multiple companies, like writing a few bestseller books, and a lot of failed projects. And he has been able to showcase all of that visible actions, which I have not been able to do. So me trying to copy today's Seth Godin strategy uh, word to word makes little sense, just because whenever anyone reads Seth Godin's article, they are at a different stage altogether. There is a huge amount of trust, whereas when I am doing it, I don't even have a fraction of that. All right. So now, to bring it all together, the girl on Instagram, right? I mean, let's look at all these examples and let's try to find a common thread. The girl on Instagram with the 60-day video challenge, the feedback my client gave me, Pam Laffin and the anti-smoking campaign, my friend who was on a sabbatical in Goa. And this is the punchline. This is like the drum roll movement, which is that as soloists, I think what we all need to do is we need to accumulate, we need to collect, we need to showcase real evidence that is hard to fake. That's it. Because if we do that, if we shift some of our focus from trying to sound smart to actually doing smart things, that is really the key to be trusted going ahead. So what does that mean, right? It means that instead of projecting credibility, we now produce credibility. Instead of I want to sound interesting, we go towards I want to do interesting things. Instead of here is what I know, we say here is what I'm trying to figure out. Instead of saying here is what you should do, you say here is what I'm doing. I have a couple of more slides where I take you through a practical exercise because I want you to walk away with something a lot more tangible, where you can apply specific questions and specific prompts to your business and your big idea. But yeah, I've been talking for a while, so I'll just take a pause in case there are questions, any ahas, any comments. Would love to hear that.
No, I think this is very helpful. Nice work, Prof.
Pranab, I have a clarifying question, and maybe that was because I was distracted by my kids who are leaving for school.
Okay.
But are you suggesting that if you can put the slide back, one slide back, please, that will help me formulate my question.
This
Thank
one?
you so much.
Yeah.
I think so, or the one. Anyways, it's fine. But are you suggesting that we talk? How did you frame it? That we publish about real things that happened, or that we focus on doing things, real things, doing real things that illustrate our point of view, our big idea. I guess both are related because if we do it,
Yeah.
then we can talk about it. But if you could clarify this a bit.
Yeah, I do think that the next slide will clarify this further. But here is my quick answer to that. I think the answer is both. And I know
Okay.
this creates tension because it raises a very uncomfortable question, which is, am I a hypocrite? Am I actually doing the things that I preach? And I think that's a healthy question to think about that. Am I applying it to all my areas of life, right? So it's like do interesting things and then talk about them. Like that is a sort of like a quick answer to that question. But yeah, you will have something more tangible, I promise, in the next couple of slides. And even if it's not clear, like I'm happy to maybe restart
Okay.
this dialogue.
Okay. And then another question I had, or maybe it's coming up, but
Yeah.
does it mean that to do a good anti-smoking campaign, we have to be a recovering smoker? And therefore, if you put it in your field, does it mean that for me, I help entrepreneurs. I have to have crashed 12 companies before?
Uh, so one thing that is also emerging is that when you make embarrassing, um, what is the right English? Admissions, right? When you share embarrassing things, again, this doesn't have to go into the whole influencer TikTok realm where we are talking about like vlogging and having a camera follow us. Like that's not what I'm really talking about, but an experiment that failed, right? Something that you tried but it did not work. When you do that, you somehow gain even more credibility because yeah, I don't know the science behind it. I don't know what's happening, but somehow the audience tends to trust you more. So to answer your question, I don't think that you should have like lost 12 companies, but it's uh it's more about like what are you doing today? Like if you're talking about this, like can you tell me how you applied that to your life, and can you share what's like what happened because of it, like what's happening today more than in some cases maybe the past evidence also matters, right? I mean if you have built 10 companies, then of course do talk about that, but I don't think all of us or any of us has really done that. So our unfair advantage is not really in the past but more of how authentically we are trying to solve the problem today. So that's what I would say, like more of what is happening in the present.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's helpful.
awesome. Okay, I will go to the more practical slide then, which is this one, I guess. Okay, this is done. Okay, so how do we apply this, right? So think about it in terms of these four concentric circles. Okay. Uh, the first one is, and I'll let you make notes now. So maybe I'll give you like a minute with each of these questions. So your own work. Okay, how does your big idea? Oh, and by the way, like before I even get into the question, I know we are on a different all of us are at different places with regards to our big idea. Some of us have like a very concrete thing that we stand for. Some of us are like just starting out, but I'm fairly confident that all of us have opinions and point of views that we subscribe to. And so don't worry about that. It's not sequential that okay, first you need to find their big idea and then only you can do this. No, this is ongoing. So how does your big idea apply to your work and business? What did you try and what failed? So I'll give you 1 minute to think about this question. The next one is the same, but the context changes. So we're all working with clients. So how does your big idea apply to your client work? How does your premise apply to your client work? What did you specifically try? Again, not principles, but what is the one thing that you tried which worked, which did not work, which gave the client an aha moment? Did it fail? Can you think of such instance? The next is it's still your field, it's still within the realm of what you do, but it doesn't have to be your work, it doesn't have to be what you did with your client, but what you're observing others in your field. So if it were me, for example, are there other consultants, coaches who have a big idea? If yes, I should be dissecting those. I should be curating those because even that makes me credible because I am trying to get to the truth. Even if that is not through my work, I'm doing it through the work of others. And even that in it as well helps me build credibility. So can you think of those instances? Okay, and the last one is this one, which is, I guess, the most interesting, I guess, where you go beyond your field, right? Where do you see the idea playing out in other things? Could be anything. I've just written music, food, travel, but it could be anything. Do you see that idea unfolding in other adjacent fields, unrelated fields? Can you use those ideas and make a point that, okay, hey, you see that happening over there? It applies to this thing as well. Again, this is curation, but from an adjacent field. Now, this is still too broad. Okay. So I have also broken it down into a few questions. I'll show you the examples later, but there are a few questions, few specific questions that I want to throw at you. Okay. And then we'll have some discussion around it. The first question. So we are in today's Thursday, right? So yeah, what happened on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? What did you ship this week in your own business that is related to your overall brand premise, your point of view, your big idea? Is there any evidence that you can point to? If 1 week is too short, make it 2 weeks, make it 3 weeks, make it a month. If you can't find an answer, don't beat yourself up because all of us are doing things subconsciously. So we just don't know it yet. We are too close to our life, our work, and our point of view as well. So it might need some digging. This is just to get the conversation started. Okay. The second question is, share a specific instance this week where you helped your client see or do things differently. Was this related to your big idea? Could you talk about that on your website or as a case study, as a LinkedIn post, in your sales presentation? Maybe it's a talk that you plan to give. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Is there a specific instance that you can think of where your big idea actually met the application phase? Feel free to increase the time horizon. It doesn't have to be this week, although this week helps narrow things down. The first challenge is actually finding those things. And the second, if at all you have a lot of these things, then why are you not talking about it? That is really the question then. Okay, the third question. Where did you fail spectacularly in the last week? Can you share that experience? What experiment did you do which failed? Second last question is this. Can you think of one other person or company, it should be company, that embody your big idea, even if they do it without knowing about it? Can you talk about that? It doesn't have to be your work. It can just be someone else who is doing it. The last question is, yesterday, if I was standing behind your shoulder watching you work, which is creepy, I know, but what would I see you doing? Can you share a specific question that you wrestled with? What were you doing? Again, yesterday is a placeholder, it can be day before yesterday. But over the shoulder content, that experience adds a ton of credibility than you saying something like, here is the mistake that most business owners make, right? That makes no sense in today's world. But here is what I tried, here is what I did, and I want to talk about that. That adds a ton of credibility. Okay. Anyone wants to share?
Sure, I can share.
Yeah. Ben, go for it.
Does it? I guess share on which question? Any or all?
Any.
Okay. One of the things I was trying to do yesterday is figure out we have these like different so we have these different reporting tools that we build data visualizations in so people can make better decisions. And on the back end is data models that we've prepped so that they're in a usable format. One of the things I'm trying to figure out is how to take an AI tool and allow people to chat with their data. And it's not as seamless as I'd like it to be. So it's kind of like when I thought about failing spectacularly, I was like, I can't make this thing work. But I see the value there, and I know that I can't be the only one working on this. And I feel like people would maybe resonate if I shared something about that. There's other people that are doing, or other companies that are doing it that are huge, like Snowflake, the cloud data warehouse, has like a fully integrated AI tool, but that comes at a cost, right? So how can we do it at a lower scale, lower cost in a way that's usable for people who already have this modeling, like basically a Power BI data model on the back end. So I guess that's something that I wouldn't normally talk about on like a LinkedIn post, but I feel like it's something I've been working on, and
Yeah.
I know my clients would jump at the opportunity to try and use that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting problem, right? How can LLMs really talk to data? Is that how you phrased it? Uh,
Yeah, and it's like allowing the LLMs to have context so that they aren't going to give people the wrong answers, right? So like I think the hard work is really giving all the context. It's like here's what someone might ask, and in that ask is like maybe a handful of synonyms that might not be named appropriately on the back end, but they mean these things. And here's how you can give answers in a way that's not going to lead someone to make a terrible business decision based on that output. There's a lot of like ideas around collecting the prompt information from, like, let's say I work for a company that has branches all over the US. Like, we get in the branch manager's head when they start prompting the AI tools to ask their data questions, right? So we start to see like trends.
Mm.
I don't know. That's what I'm wrestling with right now.
Yeah, I can totally imagine you jumping on a sales call to take an example and sharing this story and the credibility going through the roof because yeah, you are honestly talking about what's keeping you up at at night. Like they don't want someone who is, oh, I know it all, I figured it all out. AI is something that I play with every day. That's not what that doesn't sound believable anyway on any platform. So that would be a very cool story to share and also a highly in demand because of what's happening with AI. Everyone is super confused with how to use it. So yeah, I think it's hugely relevant right now.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Yeah. Guillaume, I think you wanted to go next.
Yeah. Um, so as a preface for me, so my big idea is called Start with What, and the concept is that strategy emerges in the doing, not in the thinking. So when you find yourself caught in trying to make decisions or try to make your company take a certain direction through doing lots of PowerPoint and lots of conversation and so on, and you get lost, you're not making traction. The idea is to start doing and then look back and look at the trends and realize what the direction is. So that's preface. So your first question was, what did you ship this week at here at MetaHelm that is related to my big idea? So I smiled because yesterday I really felt that tension super, super strong, and I shipped a new version of my peer advisory group program in 2 hours. It's super dirty, bad, it's horrible. And I was like, I can't do this. I mean, I was so wrestling, and I did it, and I got 100% sign up rate. So
Nice.
it's a very small group, but everybody's like, yeah, I'll join. So which proves the theory. What is an instance where I helped a client apply it? Yeah, so I could think about a whole bunch, but more recently, one of my clients is trying to get more visibility for their startup. They tried all sorts of stuff, and then they realized, oh, they have this wonderful space. So I encouraged them to do in-person events with their local community. I'm like,
Hmm.
start with what you have, and what you have is this amazing office. Have you thought about inviting people? And they're like, no. They're kind of hiding behind their screen every day. And I go meet people, invite them, and it was a hit. So they had the second event this week. It was a hit. Where did I fail? The list is long. Uh, so I failed miserably lately. I want to rebuild my website, and I've been so caught in the overthinking process of it's been lasting for like 6 months. More and more, I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I should just go on my server and just tear down this thing and just put a white blank page and just populate it a little bit every day because that would force me to actually put stuff online. And then another person that embodies this idea, I wrote Pranav.
Oh.
I think you follow this principle very well. You just like this workshop is like, you're doing it. I don't know how long you've been thinking about this, but I've seen you do that very often. You also get caught in the other way too, but we all do. And then in the past, I struggle a little more with this question. Maybe that question was a little less clear for me.
Yeah.
Like looking over my shoulder. Oh yeah, yeah. It was like, give me an example of how you do. If I were next to you, how would you do it? Right? Is that right?
Yeah. What would I see you like? What about start with what were you doing, let's say yesterday? What about that? Like what does your day-to-day application of that big idea look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah. So I was stuck. What was I doing? I remember on a project. I can't remember for I think it was for a client. I needed to put together some sort of yeah, strategy path or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna start with what we had already discussed, seen that works, and I'm gonna start there. And I felt very easy. So yeah, that's it. But I just want to comment, this model is awesome. This is really, now I've got like 6 post ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Interesting. Very good.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for sharing. I don't have a specific feedback. It just looks good. S-
What One thing is, I felt like if you had asked me to do this maybe 6 months ago, before my big idea was more advanced, I probably would have struggled a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Who else wants to go?
Maybe I
Yeah,
can
I
go.
could,
Okay. Three
Go
people
ahead.
said yes, I think.
Um,
Cliff, you can go and then maybe Shruti. Yeah.
yeah. So my big idea is ship faster by releasing first. And my 14-year-old son suggested an idea the other day that the Wright brothers actually embodied this idea versus Langley, who had a big 1.0 release that crashed spectacularly, where the Wright brothers iteratively released often. They used what they released, they learned, and it was successful. So just thought that was a neat idea where someone else a long time ago used my big idea or embodied my big idea, I should say.
Yeah. That's a cool story, and it I think falls in the fourth circle, right? In a way, it's
Hmm.
still under tech,
Yeah.
I guess, technically, but way beyond embedded systems, which is what you do. So, or maybe it is not. I have no clue. But
Yeah, it is.
it is okay. So yeah, it's a lot more relatable for someone who is not into the weeds. So yeah, it's Jonathan does it a lot. You know, he will give an example of like him going, he goes to a restaurant and then he has an experience there and then he connects it to hourly billing is nuts, right? So I find that a lot, like borrowing from adjacent fields and bringing it to your field. I think we should do it more often.
Hmm.
Yeah, Shruti.
and before I start mine, just a comment on like what you said, right? The the thing is, borrowing from different fields is very difficult sometimes, in the sense that LinkedIn almost has this parallel LinkedIn where this has been mocked a lot. Like this is what I learned from my proposal to my fiance about B2B SaaS. Like we see all of those examples. So I get very scared about falling into that trap of trying to force myself to draw examples from things outside. So I've gotten a little more careful about doing that these days, because I feel that I'm going to be seen on those one of those Twitter threads where they talk about LinkedIn people
Yeah.
writing weird stuff.
Yeah.
But this was really helpful, Pranav, because we've been speaking about this, and before this, it was getting very hard for me to define my big idea. But I've gotten very close to doing that, or rather, I think I have it, which is getting financial clarity for founders.
Mhm.
And something disastrous that I did just last week was that, or rather, until last week, was that while this idea was in a way clear to me, it was not as clear, and I was focusing on a very specific niche, which is forecasting. Founders need to do forecasting. They don't know, they need it. They don't know the importance of it, and I'm going to teach them that this is super important. You need this, and I was posting a lot about it. And I mean, this sounds obvious now, but I realize nobody cares. nobody cares enough to pay for it, at least. They say, oh, this is very cool. They go back and try it with Claude, and they're like, yeah, we can do it with AI. But
Mhm.
nobody cared about this niche specific thing that I was trying to teach them,
Okay.
which thankfully I realized within a few weeks. Um, Now, yeah, then I saw, like, then I started talking to more people. I looked at what others are doing, and so the other people who are were talking about financial clarity, but in a different way, were other VCs. So there were some nice, good VCs who really cared about what founders do, and then they were talking about mistakes that founders make, or even incubators, accelerators. They were constantly putting out content in this space along with the other stuff that they put out. And I realized, okay, what is the angle that they're uh, talking about? And I realized, okay, this sounds more like what founders care about, which is why bigger companies are also posting about it. I saw a lot of interaction around it, which where founders were like, yes, oh my God, yes, this is what we want, and commenting about like how can we do this. And so that was my signal to sort of switch my messaging. So yesterday, or this whole week, I have been switching my messaging. So pretty much redoing the entire copy of my website to focus on slightly broader building data rooms, or fundraising, around fundraising, than going specifically on forecasting and projections, and going very niche. So just before this, I was committing one update. So yeah, as we speak,
And
we're doing this.
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry to just cut you, but I think this story in itself is so fascinating that okay, you assumed X and then
Hmm.
it was Y. Like what would it be? What would it look like to bring that story out into the world?
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
Whether it's the medium is immaterial, right? It's agnostic of, it doesn't matter if it's a LinkedIn post or a conversation you have with a prospect, like, and in everything in between. But all of that, and again, it has to be thought through. I don't know what the model of that story looks like, but it makes you a 10 times more credible to me than someone who says three mistakes that founders make while forecasting. Here is what you should
Mm.
learn from me after working with uh, 343 founders. Here is the pattern that it, yeah, that makes you look a lot more credible.
Hmm. Yeah, this is surprisingly very meta, but this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. Okay, we have a couple of minutes for if anyone wants to go, and then we'll wrap up.
Um, I have an idea like outside my field because my stuff is often a bit technical, right? And I have this private project where I'm struggling for a long time to calculate exactly does it make sense to get like a small balcony solar array? And now I realized like with my good enough methodology, like my big idea is that good enough is better than world class, is that I am a um software consultant and father and runner and not a power plant engineer. But it's quite obvious that what I can buy right now will pay for itself in a reasonable amount of time. And I just should just get it and pay the not even 2,000 euros for it and be done with it and get this solar power and not think about what will happen next year and so on, because really it doesn't make a material difference, right? It's like it will be a profitable thing. I'm behind it. It's good for the planet, and like there's literally no downside. So I should stop worrying about it and just ship it, as Cliff would say.
Hmm. Yeah, and also I think in your case, just the economic lens that you bring, like that is super fascinating. So
Yes, yes. Economically, it makes sense, right? And I'm worrying like what could technically change, right? Like how will I hook up exactly this to my system and so on. But I think like that is all really irrelevant, right? Like it's good enough, it's a proven system, and it's I think there can be a lot of similarities drawn to a lot of technical discussions that companies have where they endlessly get stuck in the details instead of like just making a decision, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I know we are almost up on time, so thank you everyone. I'm happy to wait if there are any questions or if anyone wants to riff a little bit more. But I'll let others go. I know it's probably the start of a long weekend, if I'm not wrong. So if you plan to go for a trip, have fun. Don't think about this too much. And thank you for coming. And for those who wants to stay and have talk about something else, I'm here.
Well, I'm curious to know yours, Pranav.
Well,
Your answers to these questions.
when I was looking at those questions, I was thinking I am such a hypocrite. Uh,
Mhm. What?
but
You're
yeah,
such a...
hypocrite, because
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't.
hypocrite.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, The good thing, so it also comes to a little bit about the publishing frequency. I've just stopped doing LinkedIn because it pisses me off now. But a lot of it is organically coming out in conversations. I'll share a recent. Okay, I'll share a recent example. I realized that my big idea sprint is priced at $1,200 now, and for someone who doesn't know me that well, it's a leap. It's there's like a trust gap in trust for them to commit to, let's say, 7 days or 4 weeks, whatever package they choose, and parting with $1,200 is a big leap. So I had this idea of having like a smaller entry level offer or a staging product or whatever you want to call it, which is less. It doesn't cost as much. It doesn't need as much time commitment. So I started developing that thing. And I reached out to someone and I said to them that, hey, after our conversation, I started thinking about this particular thing, and which is true, by the way. So I was not lying. And I asked them, can you give me feedback on that? Because I'm really struggling. I'm wrestling with this. I'm thinking about what that offer should look like. Here is my assertion. Here is my first draft of that offer. And I get them on a call and I run them through the Google Doc that, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? What's missing? And he said, I want to work with you. And he actually signed up to be a client. So someone uh, who I reached out to, not to sound, again, not to preach, not to sound as if I've figured it out, but I wanted to genuinely seek feedback, co-create that with him. That, and I'm not saying it will happen every time, but that's the posture that I try to take, at least in my conversations. Another example would be if like this screenshot, this meeting that we're having right now, I should talk about it because this is what I'm doing. This is what my big idea looks in action, rather than talking about some principle level thinking. So those are a couple of answers that come to mind, Guillaume.
When did you come up with this framework with the circle?
Just
When?
last couple of weeks,
Okay.
I realized that my content is sporadic. I jump from topic to topic. What would it look like if I commit to one topic per month? Which is what I
Yeah.
think you have been doing, Guillaume, right? So it's been like consolidating a lot of things that I know about credibility building, and
Yeah.
that is where when this emerged. A lot of scribbling, writing, yeah.
Okay. So I want to share an experiment with you guys. So I came across this AI app called Stanley, and Stanley is a LinkedIn post generator. I was very skeptical because I just doesn't work for me, but I'm like, I'm also curious. So I'm like, okay, let's see what can come out of this. So I'm playing with it. It comes up with actually, interesting clarifying question. And then what it does, what I mostly use it for, is that it follows the streak of, it connects to your LinkedIn account and it can follow the streak of everything you post. and give you insights in data. It looks and it generates possible answers for why things might work or not. Now the criteria, that's where I disagree because it's all about playing the algorithm game, and I view my content with different criteria. I mean, success means something different. But something interesting is that it detected that pattern that when I post more personal, posts directly related to the work that I do, but also sometimes in tangential field in my, in my daily experience. It sounds like there is something there. So I just wanted to share that
Mm.
with you because I think it's just it's for me it was just like it correlates, I would say, or it
Yeah.
illustrates, that point. So recently, I one of the posts where I had some interesting conversation following that after is a post where I am actually repairing a wooden deck.
Okay.
It's like nothing to do, but I made a parallel with what I do with my clients and what how I think about AI. So just wanted
Yeah.
to share. It's very
Thanks.
good. And
Yeah.
maybe that framework you have, what would be helpful for me if that framework had an acronym or something, that
Mm.
helps me quickly map, oh, I've got this idea. Which bucket, which circle does it go into? Or
Mm.
maybe it doesn't go in any of those circles,
Yeah.
but it would be good.
Yeah. Good feedback. Thanks. Yeah.
I would, uh, is it important to know what bucket it would fit? Like, why would you want to assign it to a bucket? I mean, is it in terms of like, hey, I want to do only one post in the outer circle, but like focus more on the inner circle?
It would be for me helpful because then when I feel like I mix. So one of the reasons I publish content is yeah, for sure, for visibility for my business, drive business and so on. But it's also and maybe equal part or more to explore the meaning of what I do. Like why did I do this? Like what's behind it, to go beyond. And I feel like this map would be helpful to stretch my thinking and go look for ideas, experiences in areas that I didn't think about. For instance, the circle. I think it's the uh, third, third circle. My field. Here's what I wrote down. When I saw this circle, so I can't remember what the exact definition is on your slide, Pranav, but it's who else in my field applies, right? Okay. So I thought, oh, maybe I should start interviewing founders who have noticed. Thank you. Yeah, example of others where you feel providing the same idea. Okay, so I thought, oh, maybe I should go interview or talk to or research companies or founders who seem to have also benefited or applied or noticed the pattern behind my big idea. Because my big idea is it's not novel. It's everywhere. I'm just highlighting it. And I did before seeing the circle. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Mm.
So that's why it was helpful to me. What would be what? So I would return the question to you, Shruti. What would it be helpful for you? Would be interesting.
I think for me, I get distracted pretty easily, jump from, topic to topic. So for me, if I wanted to have some sort of consistency or sort of organizational
Oh, we can't hear you anymore, Shruti.
Yeah, I lost you, Shruti.
way to, sorry.
Yeah, you're
We
back. You're
couldn't
back.
hear Shruti.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, for
You said
me, it would
organizational
be,
help, and then we
yeah,
couldn't hear.
yeah, it would be a way for me to not steer off too much,
Okay.
in a way like to get to the point. So yeah, for me, it would be important to know where it falls so that I can sort of stick to the point and not veer off too
Cool. So be
much.
more targeted or focused and
Yeah, because again, like the this I'm doing, I mean, I'm building a brand, but I'm building a company, and I know that I want to, build this over the next few years, and the ideology needs to remain consistent over the next few years. So for me, then it would be necessary to sort of build that up from the beginning.
yeah. Um, I like this a lot. Um, I drew your circles also. That make me think of something, Pranav. I drew your circles in my on my notebook as I was answering your questions.
Okay.
Sorry. And here's something I noticed is, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but if I'm here, right? That's me. There you go.
Mm.
Um, then this idea is like, distance, right? It's distance right here. Uh, Distance.
Mm.
So, like it's for me it's a good system to remember, like, so how far, where, when I look for ideas, like how far can I go? And because in this there might be sub layers too, like field
Yeah.
could be segmented in different areas or adjacent field. Maybe I go to another planet, like in the galaxy. Or
Mhm.
like metaphorically speaking, maybe here it's like in my dreams, like it doesn't exist, but I dream of, a world where everything starts with what?
Mm. Mhm.
Right.
Distance is a fascinating thing because even I was thinking of it. Claude was of the opinion that the lesser the distance, the more powerful piece of credibility building that is. I'm not sure if I
Oh,
agree with it.
the
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure if like I've not thought about it as yet, but
Mm-hmm.
Claude was of the opinion that, if it's your work and if you are embodying it, then it's a lot more credible than, let's say, you pointing towards somewhere else where it's working, or you pointing towards a case study. That was what Claude was saying, but I did not go into that rabbit hole. That's something to think about.
Maybe it has different impacts, different effect, or different purposes. You don't use the same, as
Yeah.
you said earlier. And I think also that's what in the book you referenced in the beginning, made to stick. I think that's also what the message is that there could be different strategies or techniques for different audiences. Some people will respond well to the lady giving her testimonial about smoking, and some people maybe less, but they will respond well to other things, or the combination of a testimonial and data and something that happened
Yeah.
to somebody else and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, cool. This was fun. Thank you, Pranav.
Thank you, Guillaume. All right. So I think we can wrap this up now. Roman, I saw you unmute.
No, I just wanted to say my goodbyes. So
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, Pranav.
Bye.
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 Bye.